Should you tell your parent with dementia about a death in the family? There are some people out there who are advocating for a blanket no. Don't ever tell them. Well, I have to absolutely 100% disagree with them, and I'm going to tell you why and what you should do instead in this video. Hi there, I'm Sofia, and I'm bringing you new videos every Tuesday to help you be a more successful, more satisfied, and more informed family caregiver. Telling anyone about a death in their family is always hard. It hurts us to have to give information to someone that we know is going to hurt them. Maybe that information is going to upset them or make them cry or hysterical, and we just hate doing that to people. But what if that person had dementia? It's a special challenge, and many family members feel like they would rather spare their loved one and not tell them at all. But keeping the information from them might cause other problems. They might notice how other people in the home are sad and grieving, and they're going to know that something's wrong. Or if the person who passed away was really close to them, like a spouse who they saw frequently or even every day, they're going to notice that absence of that person, and they're going to show their distress in other ways, like being agitated, angry, or restless. So I don't recommend that you keep the information to yourself, but there are some things that you should consider first, because how you proceed is going to depend on these things. The first thing is what stage of dementia your loved one is in. The second is how close they were to the person who passed away, and did they see that person every day? And what is their usual way of coping with loss, both now and in the past? The answer to these things might give you a little insight into how you can expect them to behave. Your loved one might never go through the normal grieving process like you or I would. We would be able to go through the process and through time, hopefully, come to a point of acceptance. But your family member may never get to that point. But it doesn't mean that they don't deserve the opportunity to grieve in their own unique way. Just because a person has memory or cognitive problems doesn't mean that they don't have emotions. It's our job to help them navigate those emotions wherever they may be. And how this looks is going to be different for each of them. And that's okay. There is no one right way to do this, but you should try and see how they react. You just might be surprised at their response. I think that many people are just plain uncomfortable talking about death under any circumstance, and they might use the fact that their family member has dementia as an excuse to avoid talking about it at all. Or they're so afraid of the possible reactions of someone with dementia that they try to protect them and not communicate at all. This is depriving your family member of the right to grieve in their own way. Don't forget, it's perfectly normal for me or you to cry and scream and be sad for days or even longer when we find out about the death of someone close to us. So it's okay for your loved one with dementia to also feel these things. I do truly believe that if next week or tomorrow or even in a few minutes, if your loved one with dementia doesn't remember that someone close to them died, it's because they have a deficit in their brain, but their spirit and their heart and their soul doesn't have a deficit, and the knowledge and support that you give to them is going to lie there. I don't think that you're going to regret sharing the information with them, especially if you do it the right way. Here are my best suggestions for you. Number 1, recognize how you yourself are dealing with your own grief and loss. If you're really emotional and having a difficult time at the moment, then maybe it would be better for someone else to tell your loved one about the death. Number 2, arrange to tell your loved one about the loss as soon as possible, because like I said before, they're going to notice that something is wrong anyway. Number 3, choose a time to tell them when they are well rested and calm. Be available to provide an important physical touch such as hugs and holding hands. You don't have to go into a long explanation. Keep it short and to the point, and don't overwhelm them. Avoid using phrases like passed away or went to heaven or they're at peace now, because these might make your loved one think that the person might be coming back. Instead, be very clear and use the words died and death. And what about dealing with the funeral? Consider having your loved one participate in the planning of the funeral. Maybe you could have them do a simple task like folding the funeral programs or putting one on each of the seats. You might be surprised how this could bring back memories of the ritual surrounding death. Plan to have someone else sit with your loved one during the funeral, someone who can be prepared to walk out with your loved one if needed during the ceremony. It's always a worry over what someone else is going to say to them that might trigger them. So consider handing out a small note to the other attendees and help guide them in their interactions with your loved one. For instance, maybe a "Thank you for remembering my dad" in an attempt to help mom during this time. It would be helpful to avoid overt emotions and lengthy conversations with her. Please feel free to support her with your hugs and your presence. And after the funeral, if it doesn't agitate them, share with your loved one any condolence cards that you might receive. Don't be afraid to talk about the person who died. Just remember to talk about them in the past tense. Take the lead from them about how frequently or infrequently they'd want to talk about that person. It's okay to voice how much you miss the person who passed away and to reminisce and bring up good memories. Bring out old photo albums and see how they react. If they continue to ask for the person who died in the beginning, for the first week or two, gently remind them that the person has died. This works best for those in the earlier stages of dementia. But if you find that reminding them causes them a lot of distress repeatedly, then it's time to try some other methods. Try to respond to the emotions behind their repeatedly asking where their loved one is. Do you get the feeling that they are sad or afraid or angry or confused? You can say, "You sound really sad. I'm sad too. Can I help you?" If they say, "Yes, I'm sad," or "No, I'm not sad, I'm mad," repeat back their sentiment. "Yes, you're mad. You're so mad. Has Dad made you mad in the past before?" "Yes, he made me mad when he had to work late all the time." "Oh yeah, that would make me mad too." "What kind of work did he do?" "Well, he worked in a factory in Wisconsin." "Oh, I've never been to Wisconsin. What's it like there?" You see what I'm doing? It's a good way to de-escalate and distract them. This method is not going to necessarily help them with their grieving process, but it is going to help alleviate their stress of the moment. You know your loved one better than anyone, and after giving them the best chance and opportunities to realize that their loved one has died and to grieve, if you find that they're still agitated or it's not working, then at that time you may want to not talk about the person who passed away in front of them and to permanently implement the tactics that I mentioned before. And I think that the little white lies are okay at this point to avoid ongoing agitation. For instance, if they ask, "Where's John?" you could ask, "Where do you think John is?" "Well, he's on a trip." "Well, you're right. I think that's where he is." And I would use that as a last resort. One thing for sure is that there is no right way to do this, and what feels right today may not feel right tomorrow. So stay flexible and just keep loving them. You're doing a really great job. If this information has been at all helpful, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you have experience with telling a loved one with dementia about the death of a family member, please go ahead and share your experience in the comments below. I release new videos every Tuesday, so hit the subscribe button if you don't want to miss any new videos on everything senior. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time.